Hi guys, it's Spencer. Welcome to Sphynx Series. Today I'll be doing the 20 questions book tag. So I'll have the original creator of this tag linked in the description below, as well as their tag video, and the person who tagged me, who is Hugo from Scientists Reading World. Be sure to check out their channels and their videos in the description below. Getting into the first question is, how many books is too many books in a book series? So I want to say around like 9, like maybe 8 is like kind of pushing it, like 7 books in a series. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of series anyway. Like, I want standalones as much as possible. Trilogies are ideal, but if it has to stretch to 5 books, to 6 books, 7 or 8, I guess that's kind of a lot of numbers. That's like, I think, my maximum tolerance for series. I feel like there are exceptions to this though, because I am planning on reading The Wheel of Time. Not anytime soon, but eventually, and that is like 15 books. And I've also read A Series of Unfortunate Events, which is 13 books. Granted, those are very short, but I think in general, if it's like more than 9 books, it's a no deal for me. Number 2, how do you feel about cliffhangers? I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with cliffhangers. I think in general, if it's marketed as a standalone, it should stand on its own. Like, I don't want anything that indicates that there could be future development within that world or within that setting. Like, you promise me a standalone, you just give me a standalone. Within series though, I think for the most part, I love cliffhangers. I just love the feeling that cliffhangers give. I think this is part of the reason I don't like reading books that are just new releases, especially if they're in series, because I don't want to have a cliffhanger and then wait an entire year before I read the next book to find out the answers to that, because by that point, I've already forgotten most of what happened in the previous books. So there's that. That's kind of like my answer. It's a love-hate relationship between me and cliffhangers. Number 3, hardcover or paperback? Definitely paperback. I just think hardcovers are too heavy. I mean, I'm weak, but also I don't like the dust jackets. I know they're pretty, but they just seem very impractical in terms of like using them when you read. Arguably, of course, you can take off the dust jacket, but I don't know, that's just too much work, I think. Number 4, favorite book. Definitely A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I know I've talked about it so many times on this channel already, but this is my all-time favorite book. I read it, I think, 3 times. Although I will say the 3rd time I read it, kind of the magic that it had on me when I read it for a 3rd time was a little bit diminished, so it might not be my favorite book anymore. But I don't know, just kind of in my mind, that is my favorite book, and that will always be my answer until I find another one. Number 5, least favorite book. So I went on Goodreads and looked at all the 1-star books that I've read, and I think the one that I love the least is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Again, I've also talked about this book quite a bit on the channel already. I just don't like it. It's not a good self-help book. It's ableist and sexist, and no one should read it. No one should read it. Number 6, love triangles, yes or no? I don't read a lot of romance in general, so I don't have a clear-cut answer to this. But I think I'll go for the standard answer as long as it's done right. Like, it doesn't feel forced. I also don't want a love triangle to be like super toxic, where like one is feeling super needy and the other is just burnt out by everything. I think I love triangles if there's just like a lot of pining and yearning for the other person, and there's not just like an irrational hate towards the other party. Number 7, the most recent book you just couldn't finish. So I tried to look at books that I had not talked about at length on the channel. So I'm gonna go with this book, Night of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith. This is a book that Casey from Books Before Death and Max from Max Reads channels will be linked down below. This is a book that they buddy read together and that they convinced me to read. It's pulp fiction, it's very short. And the story is basically Jaws, but make it crabs. So like there's these giant killer crabs that are just like terrorizing a town. I just wanted to read it just so like I could like laugh along with them about it, because it's just like so silly and the main character is super annoying. But as soon as I think read the 2nd or the 3rd chapter, I was like, why am I reading this? I knew I was gonna dislike it, so there you go. Did finish it though, and I still rated it, I think 2 stars or 1 star, I'm not sure. Number 8, a book you're currently reading. So that'll be The School for Good and Evil by Saman Chainani. I think that's how you say his name. I'm actually buddy reading this with Hugo from Scientists Reading World, as well as Jesse from Plot Twists with Jesse. Again, channels will be linked down below. So I'm buddy reading this in preparation for the movie that's coming out next year. I am excited for the movie, however, I am already a quarter into the book, and I I don't like the writing style at all. I love the plot enough to be interested enough to continue reading, but as of right now, I am just not a fan of the writing style. Number 9, last book you recommended to someone. That'll have to be Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I think this is pretty popular. It's been making the rounds on Booktube. This is a memoir written by Chanel Miller, who was also known as Emily Doe. And this is her recounting her experience being a sexual assault victim and survivor, and kind of dealing with the justice system after that. It's so important. It's so good. Chanel Miller is such an incredible writer. It managed to make me angry but also make me feel empowered at the same time. I recommended this to a friend of mine because I thought that she would really like it. And I just think, in general, everyone should read this book. Every person should read Know My Name by Chanel Miller. It's such an important book. It has so many important messages and things that I haven't really considered before or hadn't considered as much as I should with regards to the topic of sexual assault and rape. So definitely check this book out. Number 10, oldest book you've read in terms of publication date. So that would have to be The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I did not enjoy this at all. I talked about it before. I didn't really have the right expectations going in, and I got a bunch of battle strategies and I had no idea how any of them applied to me, so I rated this pretty low. Number 11, the newest book you read in terms of publication date. That'd have to be You Reach Sam by Justin Tao. This came out just earlier this month by the time that you're watching this. I actually have a dedicated review for this. I'll have that link down below as well as in the cards. I love this book so much. I rated it 4.5 stars. It's a magical realism story with a YA protagonist kind of dealing with her grief after losing her boyfriend. Number 12, favorite author, Brian Selznick. I have a dedicated video for Brian Selznick if you want to check that out. I uploaded it last week. Link in the description as well as in the cards. He just has such an amazing writing style and the way that he presents his books as a mix of words and pictures. Number 13, buying books or borrowing books. Buying books, no questions asked. 14, a book you dislike that everyone else seems to love. This one my answer is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. So this is by Frederick Bachman, who is a very beloved author. He is the author of A Man Called Uva, as well as Beartown, which are well-loved books. This book included has an average rating of 4.31 stars on Goodreads, so that's pretty high. But I rated this 2 stars. I just could not get into it, and I was just so confused. This is about a man who has Alzheimer's, and we're in his head the entire time that we are in the book. And I get that we're supposed to have a taste of what it's like to have Alzheimer's, but just, I don't know why it just didn't grip me as much as it does other people. A lot of people like full on sob reading this book, and I felt nothing. I did not like this book at all. I might give it another go in the future, but I was just really disappointed by this one. Number 15, bookmarks or dog ears? Bookmarks. I do not like dog earing. Number 16, a book you can always reread. So I was looking through my favorite books, and I think my answer for this would have to be Hoot by Carl Hiaasen. I'm actually not sure if that's how you say his name, but it has a weird spelling. So Hoot is a middle grade kind of environmental contemporary story, and I just love it so much. I think the major reason why I don't ever get tired of rereading this book, I think I've read it 4 or 5 times, is because it's such a lighthearted, fun read that, I don't know, as someone with anxiety, I just find comfort in just like really simple and really uplifting stories. And this is definitely that. I think I actually included this in one of my earlier videos, the comforting, hopeful, something recommendations. I have that link in the card as well as in the description. Definitely check this out if you're looking for something just lighthearted, something that'll get you out of a reading slump or uplift your mood. Check out Hoot by Carl Hiaasen. Number 17, can you read while hearing music? I used to think I could, but I actually don't. Like, even instrumentals, because I love instrumentals, I listen to movie scores a lot, as well as just classical music. Like, because my mind like recognizes like certain patterns and certain tones, it really distracts me from my reading. I just have to be focusing on my reading or my music, but never at the same time. Number 18, one POV or multiple POVs. I think either works for me. I think as long as it's just not confusing. I think the only kind of POV that I don't really like is the third-person omniscient POV, when we are in everyone's heads and we are seeing everyone's thoughts. I am not a fan of that. I want a little bit intrigue, and I think the ideal kind of POV for that is either first person or third person limited. Number 19, do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? I am a very slow reader, so definitely over multiple days, unless it's like really short, like 20 pages. And then finally, number 20, who do you tag? So I'm going to be tagging the following people. I'll have the channels linked down below as well. So number 1, Janelle from Janelle Reads. Number 2, Esme from Esme's Cup of Book. And then my quarter life crisis. I'll be tagging these 3 people. Go check them out. They're amazing people. I love their content. That is it for the 20 questions book tag. Thank you again, Hugo, for tagging me to do this. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments any of your questions to any of these prompts. I'll have the prompts listed in the description, and you can go answer them on your own in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.